Happy Thursday, you damn D-Gens. How's it going here at the Woodward Bet Show? Detroit Beastie is joining us again today. And Beastie, man, that rant you gave yesterday about Bradshaw, that was pure gold. Or Harbaugh, that was pure gold there. I think he might have heard you there, buddy. I think he might have felt bad after listening to what you had to say about it and how you were a little upset. And what did you say? He left out to go get some milk? I think he
I
came
never
back.
come home.
Yeah, he never come home, but he came home with some spoiled milk. The way I look at it, there, I'm not quite sure. Like I said, how I feel about that whole ordeal. There we are, there signing day. Beastie looks like he chose Michigan over Miami, the Vikings, and of course the Raiders. But you know what? I got several texts yesterday after it was announced that he was coming back to Michigan, Beastie. I don't know if you got any similar texts, but a couple from our Sparty friends, and a couple from my Buckeye friends, which I don't have too many of those. I only got like two. But anyway, of course, they're texting saying, oh, glad he's back, and it's like, man, oh, man. When your rivals are telling you they're glad the coach is coming back, that's, to me, a sign that we need to be a little bit concerned there. But, Beastie, I think if he left, it would have set the program back a few years. With some recruits probably would have left. Who knows who the hell they would bring in. So I'm glad he ended up staying here just because of the fact, like I said, I think it would have set back the University of Michigan for a couple years before they were able to get back on their feet. But Beastie, now we heard he's staying. We know you were upset yesterday that he was wanting to leave. How do you feel today after he announces he's coming back?
Well, here's the thing, right? So I received a bunch of DMs and texts from my friends and family who watch the show, and then a few strangers on social media. Nothing was nasty. Nothing was bad. Nobody was calling me a jerk or a dummy or not. But they said, hey, listen, if he's leaving or he's coming, it is what it is here. So two things briefly. I do want to apologize for the nasty nature in which I talked about Jim Harbaugh. One thing I won't apologize for is, the passion that I had when I was speaking and when I was giving, that rant or that speech. That passion is what makes me me. The passion is what makes people themselves, right? It's just through and through. When you speak from the heart, you speak from the gut, there's nothing to apologize for, right? Being passionate or being hard-nosed or rude. So, I mean, most of that stuff, that's basic human emotion there. So I won't apologize for the nature in which I ranted, but I will apologize to Jim Harbaugh, though, because I figured he was leaving. I figured he was splitting. And it didn't feel right. You know what I mean? And again, leading up to that broadcast, as I said, I had no real, feeling one way or another. I mean, it was in the back of my mind, and then boom, right when you asked me while we were on air, something clicked and it hit me. So everything I said yesterday was genuine. It was right off the top of my head at that moment in time. So again, I won't apologize for the emotion or the passionate nature in which I delivered that message. However, I will apologize to Jim Harbaugh and anybody who's a Jim Harbaugh slappy or who loves Harbaugh there. It just didn't sit right with me. And in a way, him coming back to the program, I was on social media a lot last night, kind of replying back to folks who caught the broadcast or who liked and shared the broadcast here. And in a way, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm in the minority here, but how can these kids on the team or recruits or anybody in that University of Michigan family, trust what he does from here on out to a certain extent? I mean, the guy splits, he goes on these interviews, and he made just I don't want to say a nightmare on social media and for the U of M program and the school kind of look foolish. Hey, I'm going to leave. It's kind of, I'm going to go out on a date. I'm a married man. I'm going to go out on a date. And then I come home early and I tell my wife, well, yeah, I went out with her, but it wasn't what I expected. So now I'm back here home with you, but you still kind of left. You still kind of went out in a way here. So to me, there's still a lot to kind of wade through and dig through. But at the end of the day, Harbaugh is going to remain the head football coach here at the University of Michigan. So no harm, no foul for some folks, or is he still kind of, it's still a sour taste in my mouth, Scott, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I just couldn't understand from his perspective. Why would you leave a U of M job to me that you could literally stay at forever? I mean, they're going to keep him there unless he literally did something that violated his contract or, got him kicked out if he got himself in trouble. I mean, if he keeps himself clean, he literally could keep that job forever. Like in the NFL, I mean, it's very rare that you see these coaches last, even longer, 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, it just doesn't seem to happen. NFL stands for not for long, as we know. I also like to say it stands for no effing logic. But either way, I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Obviously, we've seen a new president come in. We see all kinds of different things going on within the program. Just the NIL talk that they haven't been participating in as Harbaugh believes. So I mean, there's just all kinds of things here. Too many dots to connect, and I think we're missing too many of those dots to connect it all. So for me, like I said, I'm happy he stayed just because I know it would have set him back a few years. But then again, if he would have left and they would have lost Ohio State, I'd have said, get the hell out of here. I mean, you underperforming ass, haven't done a damn thing. 3-4 against the Sparties, 1-5. He would have been 0-6 against the Buckies. Haven't really won a bowl game. So to me, I'd have been like, whatever. I mean, go ahead and go. But glad he stayed. It was some good entertainment that I can that we can do. But Beastie, on the other hand here, we got a little bit of U.S. men's soccer team. I mean, I like to talk about the U.S. men's team. I was saying the other day whether they're like 90-1 to win the World Cup, which I thought, if you bake that bet, you could hedge it if they get there or maybe get to the semifinals. But this win here against Honduras has put them in a pretty good spot where they should be able to make the top 3 in CONCACAF and get that World Cup bid, which they missed out on last time. And I'm a soccer fan, and we only know, I mean, the older you get, every 4 years, you start counting on your hand like, damn, I only got like 4 or 5 more World Cups in my life here, for them to get a chance. You start thinking 5 times 4 is 20. I'm 50. I'll be 70 years old. Like, oh, man, shit happens fast. But glad they're able to pull that out. So, if that is still up there, I still am in favor. I still think the U.S. men's team, they got a few injuries. Pulisic isn't playing that well, and he's been nursing some injuries. I just think that if they can get it together with all these youngsters they have, I think they could be definitely a team to be reckoned with here. But Beastie, do you follow soccer at all, or is that not your cup of tea?
Soccer isn't really my cup of tea. Obviously, when I was a little boy, I played soccer, but I don't really follow it much anymore. But I do follow, betting. Anywhere I can get good odds on a semi-sure thing, I'm there. And we talked about this, I believe, last weekend, Scott, about betting on the United States men's soccer team to win the World Cup and the tremendous odds we could receive. So I put that bet down. I followed you on a lot of things. I'd follow you to the ends of the earth. So why wouldn't I follow you? When you bet on the U.S. men's soccer team. However, I will say, when you look at that graphic down, the U.S. MNT beats Honduras, the first thing I think of it is TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Hopefully I'm not the only one, but when you look at that acronym there, that's what it reminds me of. But yeah, they beat Honduras 3-0. Could they go on a run here and really push for a World Cup? Sure, anything is possible. We've seen a lot of documentaries over the years about, not only United States sports, hockey, we know the Miracle on Ice. Could we get some sort of, massive monumental run from the men's, soccer team? Absolutely. But no, I don't follow soccer. So I do what I can to kind of move the conversation along when someone brings up soccer to me. But again, as born and raised here in the United States, I'm a big American guy. I love the flag. So of course I'm going to support the United States men's soccer team here. It's a good win. It was great to see.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I've been a soccer fan. My daughter plays travel soccer, and for me to see U.S. men's team even have a shot at a World Cup would be truly amazing. It'd be something that if I could probably sit down and somebody asked me the teams that I would want to see win, I think this one here, the U.S. men's team, may be at the top of my list, even more so over the Lions or anybody else. I just think the U.S. to win on that stage would do a lot for soccer here. But Beastie, we had another game last night we were kind of paying attention to last night, and that was the Red Wings. You called for them to lose last night, which they actually did end up losing 5-3. But now, Beastie, we are at the halfway point. We are at the All-Star break for the NHL. I believe we only have one All-Star. That's Dylan Larkin. He also is going to be in the fastest skater. He actually set the record for the fastest skater at the All-Star skills competition. But, just kind of looking here at the Red Wings halfway odds here to win the Stanley Cup at this point, they're basically 150-1. You take out all these bets generally, if you look on the site, you see these plus 8,000, plus 15,000. it's all based off 100. So you got to take off the last 2 zeros there to really, if you want to do some quick math. So Red Wings, 151 to win the Stanley Cup. They're 80 to 1 to win the Eastern Conference, and then 500 to 1 to win, obviously, their division, which pretty much at this point, they're so far behind, I just couldn't see them doing that. But Beastie, just kind of looking here at their own Atlantic division here, you look at against the spread, you kind of look at, you got Florida, who's on top of the division, 32-10, 2-3 being the shootout losses. They are 26-21 against the spread. Tampa Bay, 21-25, even though they're in second. Toronto's 18-24. Boston, 16-27. Red Wings are 19-28. Then you start looking at the teams a little bit below. Buffalo is 27-18 against the spread. Ottawa is 21-19. Montreal 18-26. So I kind of like looking at some of the stuff here along the way. Maybe look for teams that are underperforming, maybe are overperforming, and then you kind of just jump on them for certain situations. If you like them when they're over, they're favorites by a certain number, maybe you don't go over a minus 200. You can just start betting on these teams, from here on out for the rest of the season, and then we'll see if you are plus even at the end. But a lot of times I like to do that, BC, especially some of these teams here that are generally underdogs that maybe we get in a goal and a half, maybe are plus money more times than not. You find one of these teams that are young and they start improving, you can hop on board, and you could definitely get yourself in a good position to make some money. But Beastie, halfway point here for the Red Wings. What do you think? How'd they do so far? Do you like what they're doing? I'm excited about them. I think they look great so far. I mean, they're just below 500 here, and they got themselves in a spot here where they might be able to get in the playoffs. So what do you think here? What do you think of these Red Wings at this halfway point?
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I want to apologize for my video here. I'm not at home, so I can't be hardwired in. Hopefully the audio is good, but I know for myself when I watch another broadcast, if the audio is kind of shot or the video is laggy, it's a massive turnoff. So for me to be, that guy right now with grainy, camera work, I apologize for that. But when you look at the Red Wings here, I'm with you, Scott. So they're basically 500. As you said, I have everything pulled up in front of me here. They're 20-21. They played 47 games. They have 46 points. I mean, that's kind of a few points ahead of where we all thought they were going to be. And we know, in baseball and football, even in basketball, it's a wins and loss thing. In a way, hockey's kind of the same way, but hockey is the only sport on earth where you get points, for winning. 2 points for a win. If you make it to overtime, you at least get 1 point. And if you lose, that's all you get. So to me, getting all these points and accumulating points is what it's all about, for, hockey here. And when you look at the playoff picture right now in the just overall Atlantic, Florida, Tampa Bay, Toronto, they're leading the Atlantic division. Metropolitan leaders all about Carolina, the Rangers, and Pittsburgh. And then the 2 wild card spots right now, it's the Washington Capitals and the Boston Bruins. So when you look at those 6, 7, 8 teams there, those are realistically, those are the cream of the crop here. Tampa Bay, Toronto, the Rangers, Pittsburgh, Washington, and then Boston, who is always outstanding in their first and second line. They're always putting goals on the board here. So the Wings to kind of be hanging tight and hanging tough with this collection of other teams with their stud talent. And it's impressive here. And again, we knew when Steve Yzerman, took this team over, we were basically down and out, that we reached a low point in the history of the Detroit Red Wings that got, in the, this day and age here of hockey, especially here in Detroit. And now we know, as I was saying, when Stevie Yzerman took this team over, we knew at some point they were going to dig out. He was going to put together, some skaters on the ice and some brass in the front office here that were going to put the Red Wings in a position to be competitive again, to make the playoffs on a consistent basis. You know this, I know this, everybody watching knows this. They had the longest, playoff streak in the history of the NHL, maybe the history of sports, 25 years in a row. So at that time, that's all I knew as a young kid. I'm 37 years old now, so 25 years, we're talking from the day I was born until I was was in my 30s, basically, that's all I ever knew. In the springtime, you could always count on the Red Wings making a push for the Stanley Cup. You could always count on, the Detroit Tigers. Are they going for a pennant? Are they not? We know, how that fell off and where we are now with the Tigers here. But when you look at the Red Wings first half, everything across the board, I like to see. And again, when you're rebuilding, when you have this massive collection of young kids who have, played junior hockey, or they played in Russia or Sweden, and you draft them, you expect, how can I put this? You expect there to be a moment in time where they don't do well and they go through rough patches. And the Wings have done that. But who would have thought that, Mo Seider, Lucas Raymond, they would be where they are in terms of rookie leadership, when you look at points and goals scored and, assists plus minus here. And I've said it before, it's easily found all over the place when you look at like Mo Seider, how the leaps and bounds he's grown as a defenseman. He's a year ahead of where Nicholas Lindstrom was at this stage in his career. Mr. Perfect could do no wrong. The assistant captain never missed a game. He was an anchor on the blue line all those years. So in a way, Yzerman has put together these young kids, even down in the farm team, or however you want to put it. We know baseball has AAA, and hockey has kind of the same thing, AHL, whatever you want to do. So right now, the first half review, I should say, it's I'm going to give them a B+, because again, who would have thought that they'd be basically 500 right now, and with a couple strong weeks, here they could go on a run if they go on some sort of stretch here where they get 20 points out of a possible 30, let's say, they might be sitting pretty. And again, you count on your hand in both divisions here. One or two teams they're just going to completely fall out. They're going to completely just fall apart. And are the Wings going to be that team that can kind of take a step ahead of a Washington team or a Pittsburgh team, as they're aging and making a last run at the Stanley Cup here? So to me, I like where they're sitting, that they are way ahead in my book. They're advanced in terms of their growth, or where we expected them to be maybe next season or the season beyond here. So I believe and I trust in Stevie Y. In Stevie Y we trust here. So the second half after the All-Star break is going to be, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And that we haven't been able to say that about the Red Wings in a long time. Normally at this stage, they've, 7-8 wins the last few seasons at the All-Star break. And here we are, 20-21, 5-1. With 45 overall. And again, all you want is a chance if you're a professional sports team. And again, they have a chance. It's going to be an outstanding, end of the summer into the spring here with the Red Wings and NHL and hockey in general. So yeah, I like what I see, and hopefully I can cut off this talking here pretty soon, and I'll shoot it to you here, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, the Red Wings, they're what, 9 points behind Boston. So, they're sitting out of fourth or in fifth place. But you just look at some of their team stats. It looks like, obviously Mo Seider is going to help, but the overall rank in the NHL, goals against 3.4, 26, shots against 32.7 is 25th. The penalty kill, they're at 77%, which is 22nd. And then you look at their offense, goals per game, 2.7 is 24, shots 29.3, 24, 16% on the power play is 25th. So, just kind of looking around, they're kind of hovering in the bottom third of the league in a lot of the team stats. So hopefully they can pick it up a little bit, especially defensively from what I'm seeing here. Probably put them in some better spots here to get some wins. But Beastie, want to give a shout out to our favorite sponsor of the show here, Better Rate Mortgage. Better Rate Mortgage is family is more than blood. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family, actually better. With Better Rate Mortgage, visit mybetterrate.com or call 248-480-4467 today. Looks like we were kind of poking fun that Harbaugh might need the Better Rate phone number, but looks like that's not going to be happening here, Beastie, anytime soon. But also here, Beastie, we got, here we are. We're on a Thursday. We're coming into the weekend for the Olympics, Beastie. So the Olympics is something that is new to bet on. The only times and the places before you were able to bet on was in New Jersey and in Vegas and live in the sports books. You couldn't bet on your phone or anything else like we're able to do now. But now you can get on and bet on Olympics, which are starting out. So there's all kinds of things you can bet on here. You can get this here. These odds are compliments of our friends over at Olympic bettingodds.com. So go over there and give them a check out. They got all kinds of odds, when the schedule is, all kinds of stuff here you can check out. But you see here, to win the most gold medals, the U.S. is obviously not the leader in this one here. Norway at minus 500. You look at most medals overall, which Norway actually had in the last Winter Olympics, they are minus 800. The U.S. is plus 1,400, so 14 to 1 odds. Germany is 10 to 1. I believe the last time we won the most medals, I think it was maybe 2012, 2000, something like that. A few Olympics ago, we actually we had the most. But you look at USA total gold medals over 8.5 is at plus 115. Last Olympics we had 9, and then you look at total medals, 23.5 overall. So I actually like that one, the over 23.5 total medals for Team USA. I think I'm going to put a little wager on that one. And also, Beastie, if you look into the sports book, I'll pull it up now. You can bet on hockey. Now we know you're a hockey guy here, but in these Winter Olympics here, definitely can you can bet on the Women's Olympics on FanDuel. You can hockey. You can bet on the men's as well. You can get in there and check that out. But just kind of interesting looking, here the futures as far as the ice hockey goes. Russia to win the gold medal is plus 150. Canada is plus 340. The U.S. is plus 1,200, but Finland plus 380. Sweden plus 550. The Czech Republic is plus 1,000. So just kind of looking at that, looks like Russia is obviously the favorite. Canada and Finland coming behind them. But you look at the women's hockey to win to hockey. There is Canada minus 125. The United States is minus 105, and pretty much it's between those two, Canada and the U.S. I mean, they've dominated the women's hockey here in the last, ever since it came to the Olympics, really. So, I mean, really, it's just you bet on one of them. I think, obviously being a homer here, United States did win the last time. It was the first time they ended up beating Canada in the Olympics. But obviously we know it's going to boil down to those two teams. So they do play a preliminary round game, and then they'll get into the medal rounds here later. But definitely interesting to be able to bet on these sports here. You can bet on curling, who's going to win the gold medal for curling. You can bet on mixed curling, women's curling. You can bet on all kinds of stuff at your local book. So, hey, we don't have any hockey here for a few days, Beastie, for the All-Star break. Maybe the Olympics pop up in here, and, we can find some stuff here that we like. So, as the Olympics go on here these next few weeks, maybe we'll dive into a few spots that we like here. But just wanted to bring that up, that opportunity is out there finally, to bet on the Olympics, where we weren't able to do that in the past. But Beastie, do you see yourself mixing it up a little bit with the Olympics, maybe betting on some hockey, or maybe who knows? I think Jamaica's in the bobsledding again.
Bobsledding.
Maybe you can do that. But what do you think here about these Olympics? You think you'll dive in?
Yeah, the first thought I had here was when, you start every broadcast, whether you're with beer or you're with me, maybe by yourself, you open the show and you say, hey, good afternoon or good evening, you degens, you degenerates. And when you look at betting on the Olympics, you have to be a degenerate. Degenerate isn't it's not like a slur or a term to put people down. But if you're like us, we're kind of making a living broadcasting and playing bets and playing DFS here. So to me, when it comes to the Olympics, I know you and beer have said this a million times. A lot of folks love to live bet, that they, during a football game in a main slate, or when basketball's cooking. After you set your DFS lines, you can live bet point spreads, over unders, player props. In the Olympics this season, that's all. It's going to be all about that for me. Live betting. Will I place a bet, for the downhill slalom, before it starts? Probably not. But after we get, the pre medal contest with the preliminary heats and things like that. That's where I'm going to get in. You can pay close attention to that and see where it falls. Could you imagine a hockey game or a basketball game where they play just a quarter or two before they start the real game here, to give you an idea of who's hot and what their shooting percentage is before you can actually bet on it. So when you look at the Olympics here, that's the first thing that stood out to me is like the speed skating. You're going to have, heat qualifying heats here where these girls or these guys go around, and we can see, times. We could see timetables, how fast they're going around, or the slalom, or the high jump. We're going to see who's in the best possible position to compete for a gold medal, the medal round, or whatever they call it, gold, silver, bronze, and we go from there. So to me, live betting is going to be massively fun here based on if you're going to watch the prelims or these qualifying heats here. That's where we're going to get a good question here, especially like in the snowboarding portion of it. We know Shaun White has been an institution for America in snowboarding. He's got all these gold medals. He had that long, crazy red hair. He's I think he's my age now, and the dude is still in the half pipe here doing flips and backflips here. So to me, when you live bet on the Olympics, it's going to be all about watching these heats prior to the medal rounds or these qualifying, moves and they make here. So to me, live betting is going to be outstanding. It's going to be fun. And absolutely, I told you in a text message this morning when hey, what time you want to broadcast today? Obviously it's on at 6 right now live on YouTube here, but I said, you know what? I did very well with NHL last weekend, and it's kind of burning a hole in my pocket because the NHL is on the All-Star break. We don't get hockey again until I believe Monday, February 7th here. So what better way to kind of burn all this money in my FanDuel account than betting on the Olympics? I mean, and if I lose it all in a way, I could say, well, I was supporting America in the Olympics here. So whatever you got to tell yourself if you're a true blue degenerate here, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to use the word degen. It just is what it is here. It's just something fun to poke some fun at us. But yeah, I would get in there in the Olympics, like you mentioned. Definitely watch some of these time trials, in the speed skating. And you look at the different books too. We always talk about different books have different things. More of the offshore books have more. Like on Bovada, you can bet on all kinds of silly stuff. But more so those kind of books are where you can get different type. More options really to bet on something, like the Olympics, whatever else. But that OlympicBettingOdds.com had quite a bit of different things, had the schedule and everything up there. So go ahead and get over there. That's where pretty much I was digging into. But, man, I'll tell you what, though, Beastie, with no hockey, we got a week here with no football. We got, basically – we got a few games here in the NBA, which we'll get to. We got 6 games. But before we do that, Beastie, just want to give a shout out to our other sponsor of the show, my other favorite sponsor of the show here, and that is the Jars Cannabis Company here. Jars Cannabis, shop jarscannabis.com. They offer delivery, pickup, and in-store shopping, Michigan's largest variety for the lifestyle needs. Jars Cannabis is a medical and recreational retailer located throughout Michigan. We got some in Lansing, Detroit, Flint, Grand Rapids, and more. And hey, if you mention the Woodward Sports, you get 20% off your Jars order. So get you a couple pre-rolls, maybe a bag of some edibles or some gummies on us for being a loyal listener. But make sure you go and check out these guys. But Beastie, of course, tonight we do have some NBA on the docket here. We have 6 games here that we're looking at, and for me, we definitely looks like we got a Piston game here tonight as well that we're going to be able to dive into against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That is actually the first game of the slate tonight, the Piston game. That is the first one at 7:00. Then we have 2 at 7:30 and 8:30, and then we have 2 at 10. So looks like the slate's going to be locking here with this Piston game. Last I checked here, let's look at what that line is. Just wanted to pull that. Looks like the Pistons are getting 7 over under at 229, which is actually the highest over under of this slate here. So just kind of looking at some NBA, I always like to say, keep your ear to the ground, a lot to pay attention to. We got 2 teams on the second half of a back-to-back, that being the Lakers, who were able to sneak by the Blazers last night, even without James. And it doesn't sound like he's too close to returning, so I'm going to say he's probably doubtful. Now, Anthony Davis did not play on the back end of a second half of a back-to-back, so I'm not sure if he's going to be in there. It's something we're going to have to keep our ears to the ground about. And then also the Sacramento Kings last night are in the second half of a back-to-back. They beat the Nets by 11 last night. Man, Brooklyn's just playing some bad defense right now, as I mentioned yesterday. Kind of like the over in that one, but, man, Brooklyn just couldn't put up any points. But looking here, Marvin Bagley and Davis, it looks like they're going to be out. And then De'Aaron Fox, we're going to have to keep our eyes and ears peeled to see who's going to be there. But looks like the Spurs are going to be a spot here for some value here tonight to fill out your lineups. Maybe Thaddeus Young, maybe Drew Eubanks might be able to get in there for you. But obviously, normally I like to play like a stars and scrubs type lineup. I think Curry is a guy you might want to pay up for. Russell Westbrook as well. I think he's a guy you might have to pay up for, especially without LeBron. Maybe rolling out maybe like a Tyler Hero, maybe a Marcus Morris Sr. as another cheap option for you. Kevin Looney might be pretty cheap. Halliburton, I like him. Little Booker, I also like him. But Thaddeus Young, looks like the Spurs might be a spot for some value. But Beastie, is there anybody else here that I may have missed? Any kind of some of the bigger plays? I'd like to stars and scrubs. Curry right now would be my spend up, maybe a Booker. Is there anybody else that you see, or anybody else that caught your eye on this NBA slate?
Yeah, a few things popped out to me, right? And again, all I ever try to do when I'm on the broadcast with you boys, or if I'm doing something solo, is just give my open and honest opinion of what I'm doing and how I'm playing here. And hopefully, it resonates with somebody else. I'm never looking to copy someone or tell folks what they want to hear. So last night, I do want to say, excuse me, not even last night, the last week or two when I've been on with you boys, even when Beer was around and with us here, hockey plays such a huge role in my daily what I'm doing here. But this NBA, I'm starting to get the itch again. And I even played last night. I spent all day in the snow, stacking up hockey lineups and digging in. And then when that was done, I looked into basketball. So I have the full-blown itch. The itch is no more. I've scratched it. So I'm going to just jump in head over heels with NBA from here on out here. So when we look at this game, I want to start with the Pistons briefly. With Minnesota is traveling to Detroit. They're going to be downtown LCA. As you said, I believe the Pistons are getting 7 points here. When you look at this over-under, you could call it 229.5. I think that might stay the same. If not, it'll be bumped up a half point. We'll just call it 230 here. And when you look at it, the projected total score here, I have Minnesota winning like 120 to like 110, 111, something like that. So from everything I've done leading up to this point, it's probably a little bit after. It's like 6:30 right now. Minnesota, I'm going to take the Timberwolves minus the 7 points. And I'm going to stack the heck out of them as well. The Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns, he's a ton of money, $10,200 on FanDuel. He's a center, but you're looking at 34, 35 minutes from the big dog. DVP is just awful. The Pistons, I believe, are like 28th or 29th against opposing centers here. Karl Anthony Towns is going to have his way. He'll be able to do whatever he pleases here. And I'm going to back it up with Anthony Edwards. Again, when you look at him, he has that shooting forward, shooting guard, dual eligibility here. I'm thinking he plays the same exact minutes as Karl Anthony Towns here. DVP, a little bit better. The Pistons, they're like top 10, I believe, against shooting forwards, shooting guards here. Anthony Edwards, he is $8,300 on FanDuel at least. And then boom, we go down the list here. D'Angelo Russell, I've noticed since last night when I started to input my ideas and my price points here. D'Angelo Russell has been popping up in a lot of optimizers and a lot of things I've been doing here. The only issue with this one, it locks in about 20-30 minutes here on FanDuel. At least tip-off is at 7. And right now, I haven't heard anything about D'Angelo Russell. He's got that big red GTD game time decision here. If he's active, he's going to be in my lineup. Same exact thing with Patrick Beverley. You're going to get about 32, 33 minutes out of Russell if he's active, fingers crossed. And when you look at Pat Bev, same thing, 26 to 28 minutes, but he has that game time decision. So as you always say, not stealing your tag here, but we have to keep our ear to the streets, ear to the ground if these guys are active. When you look at the Piston side of things, of course, as a local Detroiter, as a huge Detroit sports slappy, Cade Cunningham, Grant, obviously those two are in play here. And if Sadiq Bey as well, Corey Joseph, maybe you're looking at 26, 27 minutes from Corey Joseph here. But I always look at it this way. If Minnesota is jumping off the page in DFS formats tonight or tomorrow, whatever night, I always kind of pivot to the opposite team. If Minnesota Minnesota is going to be running and gunning, and their big dogs are playing 35, 36, 37 minutes here. Well, the opposing team, it just so happens to be Detroit tonight, they're going to have to keep pace. And what better way to stack against or with Minnesota than with the Pistons here? You know, Cade, Cunningham, Grant, Bay, Stewart, all these guys, are they going to kind of put it together? Maybe they lose, who cares? But if they're on the court just running and gunning along with Minnesota, I want all those minutes. And I don't care if they brick shot after shot. Some of the stuff is going to start to fall. And I've had success through my entire DFS career stacking the opposing team when it's all, you know, roses. Minnesota's going to win big. They're going to put up all these minutes. Then I'm going to stack the opposite team. Just so happens to be the Detroit Pistons tonight. And we'll see what we get. I know a lot of folks who play DFS professionally, and they've made a living on fading the chalk and stacking all the teams and players nobody cares about because their ownership is so low. When we look at the slate overall here, I love what you're saying about Golden State. They're home against Sacramento Kings. I mean, they stay down and out, thumbs down, however you want to do it. Steph Curry, $9,300 on FanDuel, looking at 37 minutes, however you want to put it, 50 plus points on FanDuel tonight. And I also love the Clippers here. And more importantly, Justice Winslow, starting shooting forward. The Lakers are at home at the same court. They're playing the Clippers at I don't even think it's called the Staples Center anymore, but Winslow, only $4,500. You're looking at 25, 26 minutes out of him. And then Pascal Siakam for the Toronto Raptors here at home against Chicago. Everybody's going to flock towards Chicago. Therefore, I'm going to go the opposite, and I'm going to look to stack Toronto here. So again, I'm kind of working it out as I go, my plan of attack, because I've been out of the NBA loop for a long time. So everything I'm saying here, I'm stuttering and stammering through it because it's a work in progress, Scott. That's all you can ask for. If you want to go head in on something, then start from scratch and we'll see what we get here. So I'm excited about this NBA slate.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing us DFS G-Gens can really get in there and play today. But 6 games, I mean, I like that kind of slate. It's pretty easy, easier to break down. As we said, like when we got all them games, 10, 11, 12 games, you got to start throwing some out to make it easier for yourself. But this one, I do like this slate here. Definitely going to get in there and get some action here tonight. But Beastie, one thing I do want to bring up here, as we're getting into the week here, right before the Super Bowl, in between the championships and Super Bowl, make sure you guys are paying attention to the sportsbook promotions that they're offering. I mean, this is generally the time of year they're going to put their best foot forward. They're looking for new players. So, hey, if you only have 1 or 2 books, maybe look around and try to find other books. I mean, even offshore books, whatever else, there's all sorts of options for you guys to get in there and get out there. I mean, you look and some are offering $1,000 free bets, first bets, $2,000. I mean, different promos, bet $5, win $300 if a guy scores a point or whatever else. There's all kinds of things that are out there for you to take advantage of. So just make sure you're doing that. And then, hey, if you hear a buddy or two that's saying, hey, I'm going to get in a sports book, tell them the same thing. Make sure you check out your promos. I mean, I've had many friends tell me they hopped on FanDuel and then, they're bet $20, their first bet, which is risk-free. And then when they could have bet easily, I mean, it was free money at that point, especially if you're planning on playing and using the app. I mean, if you're going in for a one-time, money grab, then go, do it that way. But if you want to use the books, definitely take advantage of all those promos that are out there. But Beastie, we're getting to that time of the show here where we're going to give out our best bets, our favorite time of the show. But I'll let you go first here. What do you got for the people here tonight? Let's stay hot and get us some lunch money for tomorrow.
Sure. I'm going to keep it simple here. It's going to be a few NBA bets. Hopefully I don't steal your juice here. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, you got some, college basketball stuff tonight here. But again, I'm going to keep it simple here. When we look at the Lakers are playing against the Clippers in LA tonight at 10 p.m. I love taking the Lakers, plus 3.5 points. You're telling me Anthony Davis, if he's active, I mean, how many times in his career have we seen him play back to back as of late? But I think he's going to be active. Russell Westbrook, has he finally found his shot? We know folks just make fun of him all over the place for bricking the basketball here, but to me, the Lakers, essentially at home. It's just a game where they're going to change the hardwood to the Clippers logo here. But give me the Lakers plus 3.5 points here. I love the San Antonio Spurs. They're getting 6 points at home as well. San Antonio Spurs have always been well coached, good fundamentally sound basketball. And again, you're looking at them getting 6 points here. And again, call me crazy here. And I just booked it right before we broadcast here. When you go on the sports book, you know, you can bet on player props, right? Points, how many points, rebounds, assists here. I love the idea, and call me crazy. I'm going to bring it up here so I don't, ruin it. Devin Booker, 40 or more points in this one. You can get that one just the one standing bet at plus 630 here. So $10, not going to net you a ton of money, but if you can kind of work that in with your game plays, your money lines, your over unders here, I think Booker goes nuts tonight, and nobody's looking here. So Booker 40 plus points here. And then again, as I said, San Antonio plus, what did I say? San Antonio's getting, I believe, 4 points. No, they're getting 6 points, excuse me. And then the Lakers plus 3.5 here. So all three bets are plus money. If you combine them together, we can get a pretty penny here. So let's go Devin Booker, baby. 40 plus tonight.
I like it. So I got 2 for tonight, one in the NBA and then one in college. So my NBA bet tonight is going to be the Phoenix Sun against Atlanta. I just think Phoenix is playing some really good basketball, so I am going to ride with the Phoenix Suns. And then in the college basketball ranks, Beastie, I'm going to go with 2 Michigan teams playing against each other, and that is Central and Western here. At Central, Western is just god-awful. They've lost 11 in a row. You just look at Central Michigan here. They've been pretty decent here. They've been underdogs as well. They actually just had a win where they beat Bowling Green. Right before that, they beat Northern Illinois as a dog. But Broncos losing 11 in a row, traveling on the road, and the spread's only 3. Sign me up, Beastie. I will take the Central Michigan Chippewas against the Broncos. So that is the Suns tonight, and the Central Michigan Chippewas. I like kind of saying Chippewas. But Beastie, is there anything else you want to say here before we get out of here? For the day, anything you want to add?
No, thanks for having me, and everybody that's watching and live commenting while we're chatting here. You'll love to see that. Thank you for being here. Hopefully everybody in this area has stayed safe. It just continues to snow. We didn't get as much as they predicted, but hey, that's the life of a meteorologist. Can you imagine if a doctor was able to live their life like that? Well, I think, you can't get away with doing that, but hey, meteorologists do. So be safe, be cool, be calm. And again, after, tonight and into the weekend, actually already we're on the road to the Super Bowl here. So I'm excited for these broadcasts, in the next day or two when we can talk player props and Gatorade colors and things like just off the wall stuff here. I'm just chomping at the bit, already starting my notes. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, the most bet event of the year, obviously, is the Super Bowl. So next week, I'm sure we will have all sorts of information bets. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk Gatorade. I'm sure we'll talk how many times certain people are mentioned. I mean, there's all sorts of different bets. But I want to give a shout out one more time to sponsor the show, Better Rate Mortgage. At Better Rate Mortgage, family is more than blood. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit mybetterrate.com or call 248-480-4467 today. But Beastie, appreciate you joining me here today. Everybody, if you're out there, hit that like button. We definitely appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate that as well. But for Spencer Behind the Glass, for Beastie, I am Scott. We appreciate you listening, and we will catch you tomorrow.